Morning show here on Arise News. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has named Senator Dino Melaye and Dr. Daniel Bwala as spokespersons for the upcoming presidential campaign. The appointments take immediate effect, according to a statement by Atiku's spokesperson, Paul Ibe, yesterday. It will be recalled that Daniel Bwala, a former chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, had kicked against the selection of a Muslim running mate by the presidential candidate of the APC, Bwala Tinubu. Joining us now from Abuja is Daniel Bwala, a lawyer and member of Lincoln's Inn London, who will be telling us what to expect from the Atiku Abubakar Campaign Organization and his appointment as the spokesperson ahead of the 2023 general election. Good morning, Mr. Bwala. Welcome to the morning show.
Thank you for having me. I'm actually joining from London, not Abuja.
Okay. Very good. I hope you are enjoying the weather in London. Well, we understand.
Yeah, it's a good weather.
It's a scorcher.
Also, but very quickly.
Yeah.
You have been named spokesperson to the Atiku campaign, right? You and Dino Melaye.
Right.
But at the same time, you were quoted in the media as saying that you are also loyal to the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, your former party. How do you intend to balance this? Were you saying that tongue-in-cheek, or you really meant it? How do you serve in one place and you still have another leg in another man's compound?
It is. I'm even hearing this for the first time. I've never been a lawyer to the. Okay, I've never been a lawyer to Asiwaju Tinubu, but I am handling cases for All Progressive Congress. About 11 of them, 4 of the cases have been disposed and the other ones are ongoing. And by the way, those cases are in relation to the pre-primaries of All Progressives Congress, but I've never been a lawyer to the flag bearer of the party. I know conflict of interest as a lawyer. Where there's going to be a conflict of interest, the natural thing for a lawyer under the professional rules of engagement is to decline services.
Well, Dr. Bati actually meant loyal, not lawyer, your profession. Loyal as in the attribute.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. All right. Actually, I was on air yesterday on one of the TV stations where I was asked a question. And while responding to the question, I also stated that, one, my memory of Asiwaju Tinubu is a sweet memory because while I was with him and serving him, he personally promised to make me a presidential spokesman, and is a position that I believe is of honor that many governors could not secure for any other person. And because of that respect that exists between me and him, I say going into the election, I will never malign his character or his image or his name. And I think that without, even if you have never worked with someone, I don't think it serves a purpose for a spokesman of any political party or candidate to come to the TV and malign the character of another presidential candidate. Let me tell you something funny. When I was in APC and I got the chance to analyze Atiku Abubakar and Buhari, I discussed issues. And when I was confronted to say something against the character of Atiku, I never did. And some members of APC thought that that kind of professionalism is like you're uplifting the person. And I'm sure that going forward in PDP, because I will not malign the character and name an image of Asiwaju, there may be some people that would think you should have gone, hard on him. The way politics is played in Africa, you insult somebody's father and mother and everything. I'm not about that. I'm about issues, and there are enough issues in Nigeria to discuss heading to the election.
Well, glad to hear that you'll be keeping it clean. We need more of that in politics in Nigeria. But it's funny because you've been on this show so many times. I'm sure there's hours and hours of footage of you defending the APC, passionately on everything from insecurity to all kinds of policies, the ban on Twitter, all kinds of policies that have been, generally criticized. But what for you broke the camel's back was this Muslim ticket of all things. Why was that such a deal breaker for you, in spite of the many things that you've managed to overlook and excuse, even publicly, and also given the fact that you have now made a new home in the PDP and have just joined, and yet you've gotten this really high-profile appointment, do you not have a similar issue with the ethnic balancing in the PDP? Because that too has been called into question as also not being representative of the country, if that is indeed your argument with the Muslim ticket.
So I can deduce 3 points from what you have said, and I'll respond to them sharply. The first one has to do with the things I have said while I was defending APC. I was on TV yesterday. I said I have no regret for everything I said because we see in part and we prophesy in part. And then to further buttress that point, I supported APC because of Muhammadu Buhari, and because in life, when you made a decision to support someone, you are to project that person. But I am on record, and the evidence is replete. I have never ceased to criticize Muhammadu Buhari, even when I was supporting Muhammadu Buhari. I am an objective person. Now, but secondly, the first time of Muhammadu Buhari and APC, Nigerians went on a referendum on PDP, and they chose a different path, and they gave APC the opportunity. The first 4 years, you are to defend and canvass for APC in the hope that APC would deliver on her promise. I did. When we got into the second term, if you have observed, the character of my defense was quite objective because I felt that the second term should be a time where you need to show proof of some of the things you say you will do, because we have had enough of, we have inherited this, we have inherited that, PDP is this and PDP that. And in fact, yesterday I said, even if you had gone to the university as a med student by 8 years, you should have been licensed as a medical doctor. Same with lawyer. You go to the faculty the first year, by 8 years, you should be a full practicing lawyer. And so 8 years is enough time for any political party, in spite of what you inherited or what you were confronted with, to bring out the full image of what you intended. Unfortunately, even though the first few years, in my view, APC did well in the area of anti-corruption and security, but now we have what we call the gift and the curse. Your strength now became your weakness. Because when it comes to insecurity, I need not to say anything for everyone to know that we are worse off now than we were in 2015. When it comes to anti-corruption, I even said it yesterday, $2 billion was what we spent 6 years in investigating various officers in in PDP at the time. Now, all you need to do is to pick out 1 or 2 individuals in this government who were alleged to have misappropriated public funds, and you already clocked $2 billion. And I hold the view that now, looking at APC and even the anti-corruption, we have more corruption allegations now than we had in the days of PDP. The dynamics of life, and especially when it comes to intellectualism, is that we submit to superior argument and superior persuasion. So the fact that I was in APC does not mean I will live and die in APC, or I will defend APC to hell. Because once you see a superior argument on issue, you have to submit to it. There is right now a superior argument against the narrative of APC on fighting insecurity. There is a superior argument against APC when it comes to narrative on the economy. You know the value of dollar. I know I went through hell to come here to London. There is a superior argument against APC's argument on the improvement of the economy. Now, even infrastructure, I was telling a friend that APC did a bit of infrastructure that everybody can accept when you look at the railroad. But that you bought a motorcycle for 1 million naira, which could have been bought for 100,000, does not take away the fact that although you did that, you did not do well. Because the value of what was spent in the railroad could have perfectly produced the light rail rather than the locomotive. So in the coming days, issues, and I'm happy. Now, let me say this, Tundu, and you can judge that from today, so it's important I say right off the cuff, that in the coming days, you will see me criticize PDP if PDP goes wrong, criticize official act of PDP if they go wrong, but fundamentally, you will see me defending the cause. Second point that you mentioned, or maybe because of the Muslim ticket. Yes, the Muslim ticket ordinarily will not have brought problem to the country if the nation was at a level where you could say we do not have division, we do not have division, crisis, problems arising from these fault lines. In 1993, your late father won election as a Muslim, and he flagged a flag bearer, his vice presidential candidate, a Muslim. Archbishop Benson Idahosa led the campaign, and I remember I was a PFN. We led the campaign for Abiola. Why? Because all you need is to take Abiola and put on the table. Nobody can point at Abiola and say he's a divisive figure, he's nepotistic. You cannot pick him and say he favors a certain religious preference over the other. Same goes for Kingibe. Kingibe, some people didn't even know he was from Borno State. Astute politician with intelligence. You cannot compare this duo with what we have now. And so when apple and oranges are not the same, I don't think it is right for us to compare them. When they made that decision, and let me say this, before the decision was made, I had already had 3 meetings with 3 major individuals, including the flag bearer, and I expressed my own position in respect of the matter. So when the decision was taken, I felt instead of staying in the party and create unnecessary drama, I should do the honors part. I should take the honors part, which is to resign and move. I did resign, granted only 2 interviews. I had 36 invites. I turned them down because I didn't want drama on the issue. But you can see that PDP, they keep APC, they keep bringing back this issue of religion into television. Why? Because they have undeserving votes in the Northwest. Because Northwest now is the epicenter of crisis in Africa. And so the only way they can get the votes of the people in Northwest who have already expressed dissatisfaction is to whoop religious sentiment. So that when you do that, the majority of the people in Northwest who are Muslim will now say, okay, since this election is about Muslims, about religion, we're going to vote for the Muslim ticket in spite of anything. But it's backfiring because Islamic clerics have kicked against it. Prominent people in APC have kicked against it. It is a kind of combination of a ticket that is further widening the fault lines in Nigeria, and it does not portend. So in contrast, PDP is the party that by its act, not words, they have clearly indicated and demonstrated that it is a party for all Nigerians and for all religions and for all faith. So one reason I joined PDP is because they present a clear path to a united Nigeria.
Okay, Daniel, 2 things. Let's talk about the issues. When you were in the APC, you said that the PDP ruined the power sector. 16 years, they couldn't do anything. $16 billion was spent. But now, you're propagating that same PDP candidate. Is it the person that was part of a government that couldn't solve the power problem in 16 years, Atiku Abubakar, that will solve the problem now? And what is his approach? Secondly, I'd like to ask, what will be his approach to insecurity? While you were in the APC, you said that Boko Haram insurgency started under the PDP. They couldn't solve it, and that's why the APC came to power. What will be your security approach for a problem that this same your political party, the PDP, could not solve from 2009 to 2015? Your party had 6 years to solve insecurity. They couldn't before the APC took over. What will be your approach to a problem you have not been able to solve? Because the PDP too has had their chance to get a go at these problems.
Right. So thank you. The first one, which has to do with, I think, the power sector. I have heard in recent time an interview granted by Atiku Abubakar, the presidential flag bearer of PDP, where he was confronted with this same question. And his answer was that during the time, he was not the one that presided over the committee that dealt with that. In fact, he said he had personally approached President Olusegun Obasanjo and offered a perspective that he felt if it was adopted, they could have come out of that quagmire at the time, and it was not accepted. I also know in our presidential system of government, the vice president is not a co-president. When the best you can do is to offer opinion. If it is not accepted, you are to respect the decision of your principal. When something goes wrong, you are going to be blamed as though you participated. This is the basis upon which we criticize the entire structure of PDP at the time. But in defense, Atiku Abubakar was able to say, and he called on people to disprove, that he offered alternatives. Some of the things he offered as alternative, I think I got the chance to hear him. He talked about using solar power. He talked about using, I think, about 3 major components, taking advantage of the geopolitical zones. So, for example, he said in Enugu or whatever they might use coal. He talked about the Niger Delta. You can then use the energy And then you can use in the northern part of Nigeria where we have the sunlight, you can use solar power. And that's an interesting idea. After the interview, I discussed with one or two experts in that field, and that they said that is exactly what is done anywhere in the world. You tap into the resources of a locality and convert it to your advantage. So going forward, I believe in his idea that the power sector can be revolutionized. And his approach is not the interventionist approach, of course, you know. The fundamental difference between APC and PDP, and their ideological reasons, you find that in America. APC, as a socialist or socialist-leaning political party, believes so much is intervention because there is no trust on the private sector. So the government does everything. The government and the agencies of government are both the regulators and the players. PDP believe, right.
I want to get a word in. So let's drill down into those ideas. You said he's going to use solar in the areas. How many kilowatts or megawatts is he going to create with solar? We want the practical, specific details. What is the plan?
Right.
How will he build a grid? How many years will it take him to build a grid? We want all the details, not just about energy mix. Nigerians are watching.
Right. Yeah, that's a very important question. So this is the fundamental difference between leadership and followership. The hallmark of a leader is to provide the vision, like he did. He looked into the north and looked at the sun and the energy that we can get from there. And he said, this is the vision. He looked at the south-south and looked at the southeast. That is the fundamental. Now, when in the coming days, when we begin to break down the details of what we will do as PDP in order to deal with this power problem, by then he would have harnessed expert ideas from various fields and experts that I'm very sure he's going to contact to get. Every president around the world cannot, while standing, give you the details of everything he will do. You have to provide the vision, and then you consult the expert to bring the ideas. I am suggesting to you that right now, there are different parts of fields of endeavor that people are providing expert ideas. Just last week, a day before I joined the party, I knew of experts that came from abroad that were training the media team. He believed in handling government from a business point of view. So, Rufai, the details will be made available to you in the coming days. Remember, I was just appointed yesterday. But I don't want to shy away from your second question so that we don't finish without me addressing that. And I'm almost forgetting that. I think
Security.
Good. Very important. Now, security. If you look at Nigeria today and you look at our approach to dealing with insecurity, you don't have to go to school on intelligence. And by the grace of God, I provide consultancy services to various intelligence platforms in Nigeria. I am even an external examiner with NIPS. I can tell you that the problems we have in different parts of the country, for example, banditry or terrorism, is because we have not deployed, in my view, effectively the two instruments for intelligence gathering. Now, one, we have heard everybody talking about drones, but we have not seen an assessment by government or a public statement by government that drones are being used as reconnaissance or as intelligence gathering equipment. Secondly, we have gradually, because of the advent of technology, shy away from the importance of what we call human intelligence sources. This is exactly what the bandits and the terrorists are using. They are using human resources, people they pay who are provide intelligence. I saw somebody that came on Arise, I think a few days ago, part of the abductees that were released, and he talked about how that these people said they have recruited sources all over the country who give them first-hand information about happenings. So Atiku Abubakar, I'm sure by the time he comes to dealing with insecurity, he's going to open his mind up to all ideas and possibilities of dealing with insecurity the way we are not doing it now, because you cannot repeat one thing over and over and expect a different result. So what we...
we have just about 4 minutes to go. So, we need to manage time. But two quick things. Now, you said you just joined the PDP a week ago. You are defending APC now with so much passion. I give it to you. You may not know some of the details of what, the presidential candidate wants to do. So, okay, maybe with time, you'll catch up with exactly what he wants to do. But somebody sent me a text message. He says you are a perfect demonstration of the fact that there is no principle in Nigerian politics. About a month ago, you were defending the same APC with so much passion. 1 week later, or thereabouts, you are so energetic for the PDP. You may need to defend yourself to those people. Not my question, though. It came from people listening to you. The second point has to do with the Wike gang. The Wike gang is saying that there is an attempt to turn the People's Democratic Party into another People's Congress, MPC, because of the nature, of the structure of the party. They want the party to be restructured. And they are saying that your appointment and Dino Melaye's appointment as spokespersons is a direct confirmation of this movement from PDP to Northern People's Congress Party. What do you say to that?
Right. So the first one, I have even heard worse things than what the text you read, that the people have no principle. This is the first time in my life I'm switching from one political party to another, and I am not switching to contest for election, where you would then bring up the issue of principle. I switched to support my conviction. I left a party that I felt changed the direction into a divisive country to join the party with realistic chances of defeating that. And so on ideological reasons, you have every reason in this modern world to change your mind at any given time that you feel the ideological differences at different direction. And so I'm proud, I'm happy about that. The good thing for me is that the people in APC that matter, even after I left, continued to consult and wanted me to come back because they knew of the value that I brought and added to the party APC. My eye is on the ball, is focused. By the time we keep moving, they will be able to see. In fact, let me tell you this briefly and then go to the second one within the limited time that we've got. Somebody called me from APC and told me that my respect for you continued to increase every day because, one, when you supported Asiwaju over Osibanjo, we thought you moved because of the money. And now we have heard you have never collected kobo from from Asiwaju, and yet Asiwaju, who has all the money with all the promises, you resign to the unknown. That must be principle. Then he now added further. He said they had a meeting in which my issue came up. And when my issue came up, some persons were saying I moved to Atiku because of the money. And Sheyi, the son of the flag bearer of APC, said that cannot be true because he knows me and that all through the time I've been with them, I never demanded for anything. That's my testimony. The second one on the Northern People's Movement. You see, there were appointments that are existing spokesperson, which I know you will know, one of which is from the state where you come from, and I don't think it's from the north. And there were other recruitment. In fact, the day I met with some team of Atiku, about 45 to 50% of those teams came from the Southwest, the guys who run his media machine from the Southwest. Then you have Southeast, you have Middle Belt, South. He is the last person you can accuse of nepotism or religious bigotry. Even yesterday when somebody said they appointed Melaye a Christian, Bwala a Christian, they took their minds off from the fact that Lalong is a Christian, Mrs. Keyamo is a Christian. In Nigeria, people have a way of twisting facts, but the truth of the matter, and then regarding the National Executive Committee, there was this agitation that the chairman ought to have resigned because the flag bearer and chairman can't be both from the same zone. I have had an interview where Atiku Abubakar also said that naturally, and by agreement of the party, once he wins the election, the national chairman is going to drop. So, and even in the papers, I saw where people said Wike's faction are saying this, are saying that Atiku said PDP can win with, told the board of trustees, PDP can win without Wike. I know his optics is spinning. They want to generate a conversation because Atiku cannot say that. And all you need to do is to look at his political engagement. He has never been that type of person. If Atiku can go to somebody as low as Bwala and say he wants you to come and be part of it, why would he look at a stakeholder like Wike and say without Wike, PDP cannot win? You know the effort that they made to drag Wike to themselves. Wike has 99.9% of PDP in him. Wike's blood is PDP. Wike's veins is PDP. His nerve, his muscles, his marrows is PDP. They know he can't go there. They know he can't go to APC. But they thought that by taking Wike away, they would change the dynamics. Unfortunately for them, they have 6 major things that will crush that party while PDP is on course. What is happening in Nigeria, in my closing, is to say that Nigerians are giving PDP the opportunity. They are not saying they were comfortable with PDP in the first place. They changed PDP because they were not happy. And when they saw that APC couldn't do right, they are now going back to PDP because that's the only realistic party to win, as they're giving them the second chance. There is this thing in life called the second chance. So this is the premise of which I want to end that question.
Okay, Daniel, very good to know that you are not just a lawyer, you are also a hematologist. You seem to know what is in people's blood. Anyway, thank you very much, and thank you for joining us on The Morning Show.